The final round of the Toyo Tyres MSA British Rallycross Championship brings us back to Silverstone, where it all began in March, and a three-way showdown for the 2018 title. Last time out at Pembrey in the sunshine of South Wales, Mark Higgins was in dramas right from the very start of the final. He went off the road and Julian Godfrey took over the race lead. He was chased by Ollie O'Donovan. Higgins tried to make his way back through the pack, but Godfrey was not to be denied. He was on target for the win in the final, and with it to set up this three-way showdown. You take drop scores into account in this championship, and with that done, Ollie O'Donovan leads by 4 points from Julian Godfrey. Mark Higgins is third.
There's three of you right in the title fight here. What are your expectations from today?
I'm really not thinking about it. I just think we need to go and have a good race, good clean race, and see what happens. We can only do our thing, and what happens behind happens behind. Yeah, it's interesting, and you know, it's quite a big grid here today as well, which opens it all up. We know the permutations, so all we can do is our best.
Julian Godfrey, you're a 5-time MSA British Rallycross champion. You're well used to being in these title fights. What are your expectations from today here at Silverstone?
I hope we have a clean run to start with. Hopefully qualify so that I'm at least on the front row of the final. That's my aim for today.
Ollie O'Donovan, you come to the final round of the MSA British Rallycross Championship here at Silverstone, leading the points. What's your strategy for this morning? It's a little bit damp out there.
It's a little bit damp at the Hall. Track is quite good though, it's not bad. They seem to have taken that layer of silt off the top. We know if it goes wet it'll be a lottery track. If it stays dry it'll be a bit of racing on it, and I'm in good form. I'm looking forward to it.
Dan Rook, welcome back to British RX. You've got this opportunity to race Ollie O'Donovan's Ford Focus here today. What are your expectations for your return?
Obviously I'd like to come in with an impact. It's not going to be easy trying to learn a new car over a day to then get up to the pace of the rest of the guys here, but yeah, I'm really quite looking forward to the event.
Qualifying underway, lights go green for the first race in Q1, and Dan Rook, the man that won the British Rallycross Championship back in 2016, making a welcome return to the series, leads going up towards turn 1. The Silverstone circuit doesn't have the snow, isn't as arctically cold as it was back in March. It's got a very different look to the entry because the WRX stars that we're here for testing, not here this weekend of course, but you do have Dan Rook brought in by Ollie O'Donovan in his second car, the one that Tony Bardi drove at Pembrey, to try and take points away from the opposition. He's being chased by Steve Hill then as they come down towards turn 7. Steve Hill in the Mitsubishi getting a little bit crossed up though as he comes into that right-hander. But Dan Rook, we know his ability, but he doesn't know this car. He's learning about it, and the circuit as a spin for Nigel Burke costs him time at the back of the pack. Dan Rook was here in RX 150 trim earlier on in the season, but in a supercar, it's a very different proposition. Up now towards turns 2 and 3. Turn off the tarmac and on to the loose. There's also Pat Duran in this race, who bogged down at the start, and he's trying to play catch-up now. Pat Duran, former champion, Dan Rook, former champion, and he is on target for the race win, looking very strong indeed now as he threads his way out of turns 5 and 6, down towards 7, stand on the brakes. 1 or 2 drivers struggle with understeer here. You've got to get this corner absolutely right because it brings you round to the Joker section. There is Liam Manning. His dad Mike is in the entry this weekend, and Liam as spectacular as ever in the Subaru, heading to the end of the race because the checkered flag waves. It is a race win for Dan Rook. 3 minutes 0.9, the time to beat as we get ready for the second race in Q1. Dreadful start by Ollie Bennett, who goes nowhere, and it is Julian Godfrey that leads the pack up towards turn 1. Ollie O'Donovan slots in second place. Mark Higgins goes third. And then you've got Mike Manning and Steve Munday ahead of Ollie Bennett trying to recover from that dreadful start. This is Ollie O'Donovan's view. Over the jump. And then the cars land heavily. You've got to get them slowed down through that very sharp right-hander of turn 5. Strip of tarmac there. And now the car's back onto the loose. Speed building. Stand on the brakes once again down at turn 7. It's O'Donovan in second place under attack from Higgins. And then Mike Manning running in 4th place at the moment. This is Higgins' view. None of the leaders going for the Joker. They're on that normal lap as they thread their way through to the end of lap 1. 4 laps for the heat, 6 for the finals as Higgins sends it up the inside. Goes second into turn 1. Great move. Mark Higgins, rally champion, stunt driver. Could he be rallycross champion by the end of the day? He's going the right way about it. Not only is he up past O'Donovan, he's on the back of Julian Godfrey, and this is only heat 1 for them. Fly over that jump, stand on the brakes, and then get the car slowed down to turn 5, and O'Donovan is dropping off the back. I wonder whether he had a rather heavy landing because the pace just seems to be ebbing away slightly. Godfrey in the Mitsubishi Mirage rebuild after that monster accident at Croft in May. He leads Mark Higgins in second place. On board with Higgins now. Can he repeat the move up at turn 1? He goes for the inside line. There's just about room. They lean on each other. Godfrey out wide. Higgins goes through. Mark Higgins up into the lead now. Julian Godfrey will not like that one iota. He's on the back of Higgins again as they come now out of turn 3. But Mark Higgins is getting away. Clear road ahead of him. Launches himself over that jump. You land, you get the car slowed down through that very tricky, very dusty, very slippery turn 5. Kink at 6. And then the right-hander at turn 7, Julian Godfrey closing right up, but O'Donovan has clearly got a problem. That's Ollie Benny going through on the inside. Julian Godfrey serving the Joker lap, incidentally. That was Steve Mundy you caught a glimpse of as Julian Godfrey comes through this much slower, much twistier Joker lap section. So Mark Higgins leads the way, but Godfrey stays ahead of Ollie O'Donovan. O'Donovan must have a problem. Now what can Godfrey do to try to get that lead back against Mark Higgins here? Through they turn. This is Higgins' view as he lands heavily. Here's the tarmac to stand on those anchors, try and get the car slowed down and turn through that right-hander. And then you're onto the loose once again as Ollie Bennett leaps ahead of O'Donovan despite that poor start. Ollie Bennett going well, completely sideways at turn 5, but he's gone through. WRX, ARX events that Bennett has taken part in this year have served him well in terms of experience, and Mark Higgins likewise in his first full season of rallycross comes across the loose. And he's going to score the victory. Checkered flag is waved. Mark Higgins wins the race and is quickest of all in Q1. So Q1 done, and it's Mark Higgins the fastest from Julian Godfrey. Dan Rook third after winning the first race. Ollie Bennett fourth. Fifth is Steve Hill. Ollie O'Donovan only 10th.
Dan, you made that look fairly straightforward. Doesn't look like you've been out of a supercar for 2 years. Great to win your first race back.
Yeah, fantastic. I just managed to hook the start up in the car and, just led from the front and just kept my cool and did my own thing, and it seemed to work out all right.
You've got problems. The boys are working hard to solve them before Q2.
Yeah, we just started. The initial start was good, then we broke a rear drive shaft off the line, and I done the first lap keeping with Julian, and I think as the diffs got hotter, I just lost more and more traction, and the boys can fix it. I just hope we haven't damaged our diff by continuing to drive.
You've done a lot of World RX, ARX events this year, some British RX too. Is all this seat time really paying off?
Yeah, it really feels like, I can get in the car now and straight away, even though I was stalled, I can just really drive aggressively and push the car really hard. So it's at the point now I'm comfortable. It's just a bit of luck, I guess.
Q2 ready to go here at Silverstone as the lights go to green. A great start made by Ollie O'Donovan, who blasts away from the second row after dramas, of course, with the diff in Q1. He's got Pat Duran, fellow British champion, tucked in behind him, and then the Subaru squabble. Liam Manning taking on Nigel Burke as they go through the first corner onto the loose for the first time. 4 cars in the race. Steve Mundy, the one non-starter. Mechanical dramas keeping his Fiesta on the sidelines. Ollie O'Donovan over the lead. Now he's got to try and win this race. That would be good in itself, but really it's the time that counts. He needs as good a time to get himself up into the mix for the semi-finals. Coming then now out of turn 7, Pat Duran. We've not seen enough of Pat this year within the British Championship. It's good that he's here, and let's hope he's back for a full campaign next year. Nigel Burke adding variety with his Subaru. He was a spinner in the first race for the supercars. And Nigel Burke then, former hill climber, competitor in the BTRDA series, chasing after this man of Liam Manning. So Pat Duran on his last lap goes onto the loose section, but Ollie O'Donovan is away and gone. Let's see what the time is going to be like and where that's going to put him relative to those in the second race in this second qualifying run. Comes across the loose, checkered flag at the ready. Ollie O'Donovan wins comfortably in this first race in Q2. 3 minutes 0.854 the time. Mark Higgins on pole position. Lights go to green, we're racing. From the outside of row 1, Dan Rook tries to cut across the front, but it's Mark Higgins on the inside who brakes. Leighton locks up, and he's off the road. Mark Higgins first in and last out of turn 1. Steve Hill's view coming up towards turns 2 and 3 from tarmac to loose. Dan Rook is ahead of him, and ahead of everybody is Julian Godfrey, but now he's got Ollie Bennett right up behind him. Over the jump they come, down towards turn 5. So Julian Godfrey in the Mitsubishi leading the way. Ollie Bennett now looking for a way by. Ollie, who came into the championship last season, he was an absolute revelation. What can he do though now to get past Godfrey? Bennett, the runner-up last season, crawling all over the back of the race leader. Dan Rook goes for the Joker lap. This is Bennett's view. Mark Higgins goes for the Joker as well. See him in the background, getting out of the traffic, getting the Joker done early. Leaders go through then, down towards turn 1. Mitsubishi Mirage versus the Ford behind, in the hands here of Ollie Bennett. The Fiesta heading through the chicane onto the loose. Steve Hill, in the meantime, is keeping Mike Manning at bay. Mike going well here, and hopefully he's another driver that's going to stay on for a full season next year. There's also the threat, incidentally, of a change in weather conditions. 1 or 2 spots of rain in the air, and the forecast is not good for the afternoon here at Silverstone. Across the loose, sideways in the background, comes Dan Rook. Now on the Joker lap, he's staying ahead of Mark Higgins. Julian Godfrey now Jokers through the very tight, very twisty section, almost running out of road there. Through he comes. Onto the last lap. Is he going to be able to hang on to the advantage then when everybody else has jokered? Dan Rook ahead of Mark Higgins, so this is a bit of a kick for Mark. Some good overtakes in race 1, but that problem, that mistake made at the start of Q2 has dropped him down the order. Up through the gears, over the leap. Now comes Julian Godfrey. Rook second, and then Mark Higgins behind as they come into turn 5. Can the Mitsubishi hang on up front, down towards turn 7 now. Comes Julian Godfrey. Ahead of all of them is Ollie Bennett. Now he has just gone for the Joker lap. If Ollie Bennett is able to get back in front, then he's odds on for the race win against Julian Godfrey, and also to be quickest in Q2, and he's done it! Ollie Bennett wins Q2. Brilliant drive to stay ahead. He jokered right at the very end, and Ollie Bennett is the fastest in Q2 from Godfrey, Rook, Higgins and O'Donovan. Only 5th.
Mike Manning, it's been a while since you've been a regular supercar race in British RX. You had a bit of a miserable debut with this new Fiesta at Pembrey last time out, but going much better today.
Yeah, no, the car's going well today. We had a lot of issues in Croft not long ago, but we sorted most of them out now, and it seems to be going all right. It seems though it's the first competitive time we've had with the car. Yeah, it's good.
Is this a precursor to you doing more next season with this Fiesta?
Yeah, we're hoping to do more. Yeah, and my son as well. Doing both of us together. So looking forward to next year.
Q3 ready to get underway at Silverstone with Pat Duran on pole position for this. Mike Manning is alongside him, his son Liam on the outside of row 1. Nigel Burke and Steve Mundy are on row 2, and there's contact as Mundy wriggles his way through the traffic, and that lightens Liam Manning's Subaru, rips the front off it. Into turn 1 they go. Nigel Burke gets squeezed on the inside and is delayed. Pat Duran leads from Steve Mundy up from the back of the grid. Duran, British champion. Mundy tucked up behind him in the Fiesta. BRDA, British Rallycross Drivers Association champion in the past, is Steve Mundy as he comes through turn 5, and Mike Manning then in 3rd place. Nigel Burke is the one trying to play catch-up now. Across the loose comes Pat Duran. And the Citroën, a venerable car, but in the right hands, still a quick one. 4 times the British champion. He leads the way as they come through at the end of the opening lap. Liam Manning gets the Joker out of the way. Here is Steve Mundy powering his way up towards the timing line. He's got Mike Manning up behind him. Now Pat Duran, in theory, given his experience, given his pace, ought to be odds on to win this, but let's see whether he's able to build the advantage over the rest. It's Mundy 2nd, it is Mike Manning in 3rd as they come onto the loose section of circuit now. Over the jump, Steve Mundy perhaps a little bit more cautious than 1 or 2 there. Didn't seem to have quite the same speed over the jump nor on landing, and that means that now Mike Manning is a little bit closer to him. Through to start his last lap goes Pat Duran. He's out on his own here. Duran saying he's here really to see whether he's still enjoying Rallycross. I think on this evidence the answer is yes, he is. The Manning family feud continues. Dad ahead of lad, Mike ahead of Liam, but Pat Duran set for the race win as he comes over the jump. Again, doesn't get anywhere near as much air underneath the car as others, so he's not perhaps absolutely flat out, but he's doing what's required here to, as he exits the Joker lap, take the race win and get a pretty decent time as well. He will break the beam at 3 minutes 15.176 with the track now quite slippery. That's not bad. The final qualifying race underway. Ollie Bennett on pole, quickest in Q2 as the lights go green. Ollie O'Donovan blasts away from row 2. Contact in the middle of the grid. Mark Higgins leans on Julian Godfrey. Bodywork gets peeled off the Mitsubishi. This is O'Donovan's view, and he's been forced out wide, and he's not happy. Ollie Bennett leads the way. Mark Higgins up to second, and he's ahead of Dan Rook. So both of O'Donovan's cars fall back behind the man O'Donovan is trying to stop in the championship, Mark Higgins. Ollie Bennett leads the way. Julian Godfrey's car with damage at the front. Lots of air underneath it as it came over the jump this time. Down they come then towards turn 7 for the first time of asking. Dan Rook gets held up a little bit by Higgins, and he in turn holds up Godfrey, and Ollie O'Donovan is delayed as well. Julian Godfrey goes for the Joker lap look, gets out of the traffic, and Steve Hill does likewise. The others press on. Mark Higgins over the timing line, chasing after Ollie Bennett, but he's got Dan Rook behind him. The road much more slippery now than it was earlier on in the day. And you can see the way the wipers are working overtime. The car's moving around the road a little bit more as well. Onto the loose now. Mark Higgins heading up towards the jump. Over that he leaps and starts to close, does he, on Ollie Bennett. Now Bennett in Q2, Joker right at the very end. Steve Hill's picked up damage as well. Look, the Mitsubishi's a bit lighter than it was intended to be. And that's Bennett going straight on. He understeers off at turn 7. Couldn't get the car slowed down in time. He's kept the lead, but he will lose a little bit of time relative to Higgins. Dan Rook going after him. This is Ollie O'Donovan's view now. He's on that normal lap through 8 and 9. Back onto tarmac. So Mark Higgins wipers on through turn 1, chasing after Ollie Bennett. Can he get near enough to make a move for the race lead? Let's see. Bennett looks as though he might have enough in hand here. Higgins sideways in the air even. Leaps his way back down to earth, and now through turn 5 once again. This is where Bennett got it wrong a lap ago. And he's almost got it wrong again. Now it's increasingly slippery. The car tries to squeeze out to the left, but Ollie Bennett regroups and now goes for the Joker lap. And slow is Dan Rook. He's got a problem, so Ollie O'Donovan goes by, but Dan Rook slows coming out of turn 7. Higgins, clear road ahead, starts his last lap. He's away and gone, but on the Joker, will Bennett get the race lead back? Let's see now. Out of turn 1 goes the Fiesta, chasing after the Albatech Racing run. Peugeot 208. There is O'Donovan leaning on Julian Godfrey. It's elbows out stuff here between two drivers fighting for the championship. They have both won the British Championship in the past. They both want to do it again at the end of the day. O'Donovan, though, goes through. O'Donovan careful over that leap. It was where he did some damage to the car earlier on in the day. And so now, out of turn 5, he's ahead of Godfrey, but Godfrey's got a problem. Mark Higgins, the leader, has gone for the Joker on this last lap, but look, Julian Godfrey's car has slowed right down. You're on board with Higgins as he tiptoes through the Joker section where it's oh so slippery. Where is Ollie Bennett? There is Ollie Bennett. Bennett leads the way. Ollie Bennett wins again in Q3. Mark Higgins second, almost overlapping at flag full. And third goes to Ollie O'Donovan. Julian Godfrey stranded by the side of the circuit. The car has got going again. He will limp to the end. But Ollie Bennett wins Q3 by a 10th from Mark Higgins. And packed around third, Julian Godfrey limps home 11th. More championships are on the line, nowhere more so than in the juniors. After qualifying, Marius Solberg Hansen is ahead of Morgan Root and Patrick O'Donovan. The grid for the final is formed in the championship. Luke Constantine leading brother Tom by 1 point. Marius Solberg Hansen is on pole from Tom Constantine and Morgan Root. Row 2, Patrick O'Donovan and Luke Constantine. Ben Sayer is on row 3 with James Constantine and then Christian Haeng for company. The lights go to green and we are racing. Morgan Root makes a good start. On the inside line is Marius Solberg Hansen trying to find a way through. Patrick O'Donovan on the outside and contact turns around Morgan Root. He led in and he's last out of turn 1. So poor old Morgan Root from the outside of the front row falls to last. And now onto the loose, Marius Solberg Hansen is fending off Tom Constantine. Remember, it is Luke leading Tom by a point. However, as far as Luke Constantine is concerned, he had to miss Q2, a broken sump force and engine change. That put him on the back foot through qualifying. Patrick O'Donovan leads the way, then in second spot, Marius Solberg Hansen, and everybody else tries to be third as they come down towards turn 7, with number 7, Tom Constantine, just ahead here. Now Tom is ahead of Luke. That's enough to give him the championship. 1 point in it, 4 victories to Tom this year, 2 to Luke. And then number 7, Tom Constantine, comes through. In the green car is cousin James Constantine. And there, in number 80, is Christian van Engert out of turn 10. The leaders come out of the first corner then. 6 laps for the finals. But right now, Marius Solberg Hansen, winner at Silverstone earlier in the season, winner at Croft as well, is chasing after this man, Patrick O'Donovan. He can't win the junior championship because he only really joined in 2/3 of the way, or a third rather, of the way through the season. Missed the first couple of rounds, the son of Ollie O'Donovan, but he has already marked himself out as a potential champion for next year. Through turn 7 he comes. Meantime, what's left of Morgan Root's car is trying to play catch-up. A very frustrated Morgan Root, and that looks decidedly second-hand swift, doesn't it? Some go for the joker this time, including Tom Constantine. The leaders go through. Marius Solberg Hansen doing his level best to play catch-up and get onto the back of O'Donovan as they hit turn 1 now. As far as the Inter-Nissan Constantine battle is concerned, Tom still fending off the challenge of Luke and looking as though he's on target for the championship here. Havant in 5th place on the road. Ben Sayer going strongly, somebody else that's improved across the course of the season. There is Ben Sayer going onto the loose out of turn 2 and 3, up towards the jump now. So 107, Luke Constantine chasing after 7, Tom Constantine. Bits falling off of our Eng's car, lower down in the pecking order. But right now, Tom Constantine looks like he's going to add the championship to his 4 final wins of the season. But who is going to win the final? It is a battle between Solberg Hansen and O'Donovan. This is O'Donovan's view. Comes across that loose section, and he's fending off Marius Solberg Hansen. Remember, these are all identical cars, everybody in the same Suzuki Swift. But what is not happening is that Solberg Hansen can't find a way through. Doesn't seem to have the grunt relative to O'Donovan. He can get close, but he's not able to force a way by. These 1.3 litre engine cars absolutely nose to tail coming up towards the jump. So Solberg Hansen close, but there's just no opening yet. Down they come now towards turn 5. On the outside, look, Solberg Hansen. He wants a wider line in and a tighter line out. But then there's the kink at 6. Can he force it up the inside line into turn 7? Again, a wide approach. Tries to get up the inside, but he gets a face full of O'Donovan. There's no way by. Nose to tail they run now. Once more. Up towards now the joker section, and O'Donovan fends him off, but he almost runs out of road there. Lots of arm twirling inside the car as through goes Tom Constantine and Luke Constantine to jump ahead on the joker lap. It's going to be a win and a championship for Tom Constantine, who comes through to win the final round of the championship. Tom Constantine takes a 5th win and wins the championship. Brother Luke 2nd in both, and Patrick O'Donovan comes home in 3rd. So Tom Constantine moves ahead at the very end to win the MSA Junior Rallycross Championship from Luke Constantine, and it's Ben Sayer who ends the year in 3rd.
Really happy to finally get the title. You know, it feels like, well, it has been years we've been trying to get it, and just so happy that it's finally come around. But yeah, we've had a hard year. We've had quite a few wins, but quite a few not low finishes. So it's really happy to finally get it.
Yeah, so happy for my brother. It's his last year, and I'm so happy that he could win the championship this year. And I've got another 2 years, so hopefully I can win it in them years, so yeah.
Yeah, happy. I did about 6 events, I'd say, so happy to come out with 3rd. It's been a good day. Had a bit of a bad start to the day, but as the day went on, got 2 heat wins, so I was happy with that.
Here at Silverstone, the final round of the Toyo Tyres MSA British Rallycross Championship has got to the semi-final stage. Ollie Bennett, Dan Rook, Pat Duran on row 1, Mike Manning and his son Liam on row 2, Nigel Burt behind them. The road is wet but drying. Ollie Bennett's on wet tyres, we understand. Pat Duran on the outside of row 1 on dries as we go racing up towards turn 1. Dan Rook between the 2 of them. Who is going to get the whole shot? It is Ollie Bennett that leads into turn 1, but he's all sideways. That forces Duran out wide, and Rook picks up the race lead. Dan Rook, the 2016 champion, goes through. Ollie Bennett just back into 2nd place and almost for the race lead as well. He's had a great day in terms of pace here, Ollie Bennett. Quickest in Q2 and in Q3, and looking for a way back ahead of Dan Rook as they come over the jump now, down to turn 5. Duran runs 3rd, 4th is Mike Manning, and as sideways, Dan Rook pendulums his way down towards turn 7 for the first time, but he understeers out wide. Bennett squirts up the inside, coming out of the corner, elbows out, leans on Rook. Gets ahead of him, does he? Yes, he's forced sideways. rather than go for the joker, he forced his way back across the front, and Ollie Bennett leads at the end of that one with Rook going after him. Rook back up on the inside. Can he go through? Yes, he can. Dan Rook sends it up the inside and retakes the race lead. Down to second is Bennett, and a sideways Pat Duran is third as they hit the loose once more out of turns 2 and 3 now. Great battle for honours between them. Top 4 qualify, so much as you want to win, you just need to be in that top 4 really to make sure you're on the grid for the final. Duran is closing on Bennett. Has Bennett got a problem all of a sudden because he's lost pace relative to Rook? Mike Manning going through, trying to stay in that magic 4 as Dan Rook here to try and take points away from others and help Ollie O'Donovan in the championship comes out of turn 7. Ollie Bennett goes for the joker. Now there is Nigel Burke's Subaru towards the back of the pack. And Ollie Bennett comes from that joker lap, losing ground of course, but everybody has to serve that, so it all unravels in the end as a really sideways line out of turn 1 shows how hard Dan Rook is trying. He manages to hang on to it as Liam Manning gets up the inside of Bennett and they collide at turn 1. Liam Manning up the inside, Ollie Bennett gets away first. That's, I fear, any chance of a race win gone. Can he stay in the top 4 as now Mike Manning comes up to attack? Nose to tail they run, Ollie Bennett just about fending him off. There's another little nudge between them. So Dan Rook leads the way. Pat Duran is second now as they come down towards turn 7. Nigel Burke presses on, and Pat Duran going for the joker lap, as here is Ollie Bennett. A little bit more smoke coming out of the back of the car. Is that a legacy of the contact with Liam Manning, or is it something rather more serious? There is Liam Manning, whose car lost bodywork earlier on in the day. It's still going. It's a good, strong, durable car, is that Subaru. And Liam Manning getting quicker all the time in it. So the Smoky Bennett goes through turn 1. Over the jump goes Dan Rook. I reckon that smoke's getting worse. Ollie Bennett heads for the loose. He's got Mike Manning behind him. And looking at where the smoke's coming from, it's more than just bodywork fouling against a tyre, for example. That does look mechanical. Up to the jump comes Ollie Bennett. Can he nurse it home? He turns his way now down through turn 5. That's a very hot Fiesta indeed. Ollie Bennett's car is alight. It wasn't just a flash of flame on overrun. That is a serious problem. That's a proper fire. And Ollie Bennett gets the message. The car is ablaze and he parks it. Onto the last lap goes Dan Rook. Ollie Bennett out of the car. But a fire extinguisher needs to get to that in a hurry as Liam Manning, with a really heavy landing, bounces his way down towards turn 5. Dan Rook on target for a race win as he comes over the lead now. Come on, says Ollie Bennett, where are you? Come on, come on. The team are there, the marshals are still not there. Here is Pat Duran. He's on target for second in the race, but right now everybody's rather more concerned about Ollie Bennett's car. Dan Rook will come through to win, and he's going to put himself onto the grid for the final. Exactly what Ollie O'Donovan, the team principal, wants. So Dan Rook wins the race, but really big disappointment for Ollie Bennett. Let's just confirm the top 4 that go through. Dan Rook ahead of Pat Duran, Mike Manning ahead of Liam. They qualify, but it could have been oh so different for Ollie Bennett.
Dan Rook, fantastic drive in the semi-final. You had a close battle with Pat and Ollie in the first few laps, but got the win you needed.
Yeah, fantastic. Really boosted my confidence now going into the final. We made some changes on the car before coming into the semis and really starting to feel the car underneath me. It took me a while to adjust to it, but it's starting to come to me.
Pat Duran, you've been out of the British Championship Supercar-wise for a little while. Having fun today?
Fantastic fun. Great to be back. Great atmosphere. Yeah, and loving it.
Good run in the semi-final. You've got a reasonably good grid position for the final. What can you do from there?
With the politics that are going on now, I think anything's possible. So I'll be there, hopefully pick up the pieces.
Yes, politics. Of course, there's a second car in Ollie O'Donovan's camp, and there's not much love lost between the 3 drivers going for the championship: Mark Higgins, Julian Godfrey and Ollie O'Donovan, who lock out the front row of the grid for semi-final 2 ahead of Steve Hill and Steve Munday. 5 start, 4 qualify. We go racing. Good start by O'Donovan, who tries to cut across the front. Higgins goes for a gap on the outside. Julian Godfrey leads the way, but he goes far too fast into the corner and goes out wide. Higgins gets in a gap between the 2 of them. There's contact with Godfrey. Steve Hill gets up the inside line as well. But Ollie O'Donovan now, crucially, leads the way as they come onto the loose for the first time. Mark Higgins chasing after him, side by side for third. Hill versus Godfrey. Julian Godfrey delayed them by running out wide at the first corner. He went in a bit too quickly, even before there was that contact with Higgins. So he was always going to come out the loser, but O'Donovan looks like he's turning this around. They're on dry tyres now, slick tyres, because the road is getting drier and faster now that the lunchtime rain has stopped. Steve Hill making his way onto that Joker section as O'Donovan leads from Mark Higgins, who looks as though he's got the pace to challenge on the inside line at turn 1. Gets a face full of the yellow Fiesta. Where does Higgins challenge? He's got to be mindful as well to get on with this before Godfrey catches up, because Julian is nearly there. Ford, Peugeot, Mitsubishi, first, second and third, across the loose now, up towards the jump. On board with Julian Godfrey as they come over the jump in towards turn 5. Going very strongly now is Ollie O'Donovan. Is it enough to turn around the day? Mark Higgins looks for the inside line. O'Donovan covers that off as they drop down towards the corner. Now, does Higgins go for the Joker and get that out of the way this time? Let's see. Most circuits have the Joker early in the lap, Silverstone right at the end, and Higgins does indeed Joker. Gets out of the traffic. Through comes O'Donovan. Up into second on the road now, Julian Godfrey. Where is Higgins? There he is in the background. Out of turn 1. Ollie O'Donovan's car, perhaps a little bit more sideways, and Julian Godfrey now, look, is closing. Making their way towards the loose once more. The Steves are at war. Steve Hill keeping Steve Mundy behind him. Ollie O'Donovan over the jump, Julian Godfrey behind, and then the Mitsubishi of Hill keeping the Fiesta of Mundy at bay. Mark Higgins having served his Joker, trying to close on the top 2 once more. Steve Mundy, champion back in the late 90s, comes across the loose. And Julian Godfrey now goes for the Joker, tries to get that out of the way. There he is at the top of the shot. Will he stay ahead of Mark Higgins? Let's see. It's slow and tight and twisty on the Joker lap, and no, he does not stay ahead. Higgins blasts clear. There is Julian Godfrey, but now that he's fallen back behind Mark Higgins, it means that Mark is looking very strong indeed. He might be able to pick up the race lead when O'Donovan jokers. Let's see. Out of turn 3, up towards the jump now. The Albatec Racing Peugeot getting away from Julian Godfrey. Mark Higgins, multiple British rally champion, stunt driver par excellence, and now with a view perhaps to the World Rallycross Championship in the future. He wants this British Rallycross title this weekend, and it could come. This car, as O'Donovan goes for the Joker, engineered by the National Centre for Motorsport Engineering up in Bolton, and Mark Higgins comes across the loose looking as though, yes, he will get the race lead. Julian Godfrey is up into second, and so O'Donovan, who led early on, now falls back into third place. Evidence perhaps that it's just not his day, because the car does not seem to have the speed of the others. Despite O'Donovan's driving, and we know he's a real force to be reckoned with, he cannot do anything about Godfrey nor Higgins, because he's down in third place again here. He's working hard, but is it enough to get back ahead of Godfrey? It's all going to come down to the final, but the problem is for O'Donovan, he may be a row behind his championship rivals. They're down at turn 7. Julian Godfrey just fending off Ollie O'Donovan. Mark Higgins getting away though. Now can O'Donovan fight back? He's running out of options, he's running out of time. Mark Higgins blasts over the line, looking so strong here. Onto the last lap goes Mark Higgins, the leader. Julian Godfrey second, Ollie O'Donovan in third, and actually he is not staying with Godfrey. If anything, it's almost like he's being caught by Steve Hill, who is going to be the last of the qualifiers out of semi-final 2. On board with Hill. Heads up towards the jump now, over which Ollie O'Donovan flies. A lot more committed on that lap than he's been on others, because early in the day he was damaging the car on heavy impact, so he's had to be a little bit more cautious. O'Donovan will get through to the final, but he's on the back foot, I reckon, looking at all of this. Julian Godfrey second, and Mark Higgins is the race leader, about to become the race winner, as Mark Higgins now powers his way up towards the checkered flag to win semi-final 2 here at Silverstone. Mark Higgins wins, second goes the way of Julian Godfrey. It's Ollie O'Donovan third. For Mark Higgins, this is looking a very strong day. Godfrey second, O'Donovan third. The last qualifier is Steve Hill. There are one or two perhaps rather nervous drivers now thinking about the final.
We've just dragged you away from the team, working with David on the V-Box. Ollie is doing exactly the same thing up there. Julian's buried in the laptop. It's going to be an exciting final.
Yeah, we've got to look at everything. I mean, the tyre choice was really critical on the last one. We all went back to slicks. It was the right choice. The track hopefully now is drying a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot of unknowns out there, and it's going to be fun.
You're working the points out as we speak. We've just grabbed you away from the team. It's crunch time now in the championship.
Yeah, I think we're 5th in the Great Hall, which is not so bad. I'm on the right hand side, going up to the first corner. I think I might have been just a little bit too cautious on that run there on the track. The whole idea was to be safe and get this far, and we're here. So 5th 5th in the grid. I think we can do something off the start, so I'm not afraid of that.
Ollie Bennett, it was all going so well, fastest in Q2, fastest in Q3, I think arguably your best British Championship performance, and a fire in the semi-final, really disappointing for you.
Yeah, it was really disappointing. I had some really strong pace all day, to the point I thought I could see through it all the way to the final, really. Started off the semi, managed to get back into the first place position, and then just really bad misfires. Started having smoke inside the car, turned the ALS off. I thought, well, I would just cruise to the finish. I only needed 3rd place, and I thought that'd be enough. And then I think it was on the last lap before I got that bad, I just had to stop and get out, so it's disappointing.
How bad's the damage?
I think it'll be alright. It looks mostly as if some panels caught fire, and that's where I was getting smoke inside the car. So fingers crossed. The misfire I think was a separate issue, so I think it's going to be okay.
Here at Silverstone, it's the final round of the Toyo Tyres MSA British Rallycross Championship, and also the MSA Super National title on the line. Tristan Ovenden really only has to score a point in order to secure that, with the absent opposition being Paige Bellaby. He's been fastest through qualifying as well. Now, Paige Bellaby may not be here, but Dad Dave is behind the wheel of the Honda engine Lotus Exige, and it's on the middle of the front row. Tristan Ovenden is on pole, Bellaby second, and Jack Thorne, Super 1600 championship leader for company. Paul Coney on row 2 with Vince Bristow, Mike Howlin on row 3 with Darren Scott, and the lights go green and we go racing. Bad start though by Mike Howlin, struggles away, and Dave Bellaby has got the advantage. Can the Clio get up the inside? No, Ovenden locks up, Bellaby goes wide at turn 1 though, and Tristan Ovenden comes through. It's a greasy circuit, and that should help the Lotus Exige. The Clio doesn't like it when it's tight and twisty and slippery to boot, and so Tristan Ovenden is ahead, but this V6 Clio is going to be a real handful on this very twisty track on a very slippery surface, and Bellaby gets up the inside line and he goes through. Jack Thorne gets squeezed in the Renault Twingo, but he's on the attack as well. First time he's raced this particular car that he only got on Monday. Now, Dave Bellaby, using this as a test session, they've done a few adjustments and a few improvements and developments to the Lotus, and he's here really to see whether they're working. The answer seemingly is yes, they are. Paul Coney goes for the Joker lap in the background. So Ovenden, 6 times a winner this year, champion-elect, chases after Bellaby. Up towards the first corner, there is Jack Thorne with the ever sideways, ever spectacular Vince Bristow behind in the BMW, and then Paul Coney next, having served that Joker lap. Jack Thorne could have, up until the start of the day, just about been an outside bet to win the Super National crown outright. He's ahead in Super 1600, 5 points clear of Paul Coney, and that really is the target now for Jack Thorne. He's looking at a European Championship bid next season. It would be a shame if we lost him from the British Championship circus, because Jack Thorne is another good young talent. Tristan Ovenden has gone for the Joker lap, incidentally, as you look at Coney and Darren Scott nose to tail. Vince Bristow's BMW sideways ahead, and he goes for the Joker this time. Mike Howlin there, the car dealer, going through as Jack Thorne accelerates on. There is Ovenden now rejoining after the Joker in behind the Renault Twingo, 2 very different sorts of Renault. The Twingo ahead of the V6 Clio, and champion-elect Tristan Ovenden comes now onto the loose. Up front though, Dave Bellaby is looking as though he might well be able to hang on to this lead even after the Joker, and there's Ovenden being oh so cautious over the jump. Lots of understeer from Jack Thorne, however, coming out of turn 5. That's the kink at 6 completed, and now the very slippy turn 7. You brake hard, you brake late, you understeer out wide. Paul Coney under attack from Darren Scott though there. Darren was on his side in qualifying, in the practice laps I should say, at the Joker lap section when he got it wrong and the car turned turtle on him. Here though, he's on the tail of Paul Coney. Onto the last lap go the leaders. Can Dave Bellaby do enough to stay ahead? Mike Howlin here trying to also gain places. Jarek Sukovici is just ahead of him, the Polish driver, new to Super National this weekend. Paul Coney keeping at bay Darren Scott as they work their way out of the chicane. There is Bellaby. So Dave Bellaby in the Honda engined Lotus Exige. It's gone well all season in the hands of his daughter, Paige Bellaby. She is not here this weekend. She'll be back for a full season next year. So can Dad give it its first victory of the season? He's on the Joker lap. He's back onto the normal lap now, sideways, trying not to waste time, but he's ahead. Through will come Dave Bellaby to win, and it's Jack Thorne who takes second in the race. Third, Tristan Ovenden, but he is the Super National champion once more. The race results first of all, Dave Bellaby the winner from Jack Thorne. Tristan Ovenden is third, then Paul Coney from Darren Scott and Vince Bristow rounding out the top 6. Back-to-back championships for Tristan Ovenden, another great season. He wins from Jack Thorne and Paul Coney, with Jack Thorne also winning the Super 1600 title.
It was really fast this morning, but I did have to score actually because I think Jack Thorne was still in with the shout, so we had to come and do something. Yeah, this morning was going great, and then unfortunately the rain got stronger and stronger, which hampered us a little bit, but still really pleased with the season and thirds.
Yeah, very happy with it today. The idea of it is that in Paige's absence at this meeting, she's back next year for a full season, but we tried to take advantage of this to develop the car. Very pleased where we've ended up. We did a few tweaks and changes today, but there's nobody could answer what we put forward for them today.
Had to work hard today. Challenging conditions come in the end, but yeah, super pleased with the car, super pleased with the year. It hasn't all gone our way, but this makes you dig deep, I guess. Many hours spent in the workshop getting ready, but yeah, very happy with the final result.
Here at Silverstone, there is one more championship to be resolved. It is the Toyo Tyres MSA British Rallycross Championship, where Mark Higgins, Dan Rook and Julian Godfrey are on the front row of the grid, ahead of Pat Duran and Ollie O'Donovan, then Mike Manning, Steve Hill and Liam Manning. 3 drivers in with a chance as the lights go green. It's between Mark Higgins, Julian Godfrey and Ollie O'Donovan. O'Donovan from the second row trying to work his way through the traffic. Dan Rook here to take points off the other 2 as Julian Godfrey goes wide. Rook gets up the inside, does he? No, he doesn't. He is behind the 2 drivers he's got to take points away from, and he's ahead of Ollie O'Donovan. So how do they get Ollie up the order now? On board with Dan Rook, heading across the loose section. Higgins leads. Julian Godfrey is there in second spot, and this will be enough to give Mark Higgins the championship if Ollie O'Donovan is still stuck down the order. Brake hard now as they come through turn 7. There is Pat Duran. Whoops, it gets into the back of Dan Rook and turns him sideways and into the barriers. Dan Rook delayed. Ollie O'Donovan goes through. He gains a place, and he also goes for the Joker to get that completed on the very opening lap of the race. But there might be a bit of discussion about the Duran and Rook incident after all of that. Dan, of course, drove for Pat's team a couple of years ago to take the championship. However, right now, contact between the 2, and Dan Rook falls behind Ollie O'Donovan. So really, there's very little he can do now to influence the championship outcome, because he's behind all the 3 drivers who are fighting for the points. Julian Godfrey comes down towards turn 7, and now through that right-hander. Now, where is O'Donovan? Is he getting himself up the order? Remember, he jokered early, so he's trying to pick off places. Dan Rook back ahead of him after that joker lap. Mike Manning goes out a little bit wide. Dan Rook goes through. Rook jokers, so now O'Donovan will go back ahead of him. Over the line come the race leaders. Now there through is Julian Godfrey pushing on. O'Donovan needs to be ahead of the other 2 out of all of this. Mark Higgins needs to win with Godfrey third and O'Donovan behind Julian Godfrey. And right now it is looking pretty good as far as Higgins is concerned. He comes down towards turn 7. O'Donovan through the right-hander at turn 5, and he's got a bit stuck in the traffic now, has Ollie O'Donovan, because right there ahead of him is Mike Manning. Now Mike's not concerned about a championship outcome, he wants the best result he can possibly get. Duran goes for the joker, Higgins goes through turn 1, Mike Manning now gets the joker lap completed, Liam chases after his father, and there over the line goes Ollie O'Donovan. He is still behind the people he needs to be ahead of, including Pat Duran, and Pat also tries to brave it out with him as they go through turn 1, and he stays ahead. Duran here is taking points away from O'Donovan. There is Dan Rook behind, so as I say, he can do nothing now to influence the championship. He's behind the drivers he needs to be ahead of. It's been great to have him back, but Ollie O'Donovan now is stuck behind Pat Duran. Mark Higgins has just gone for the joker lap, incidentally, to serve that. Dan Rook's view here coming out of turn 5, that's the kink at 6, down towards that slippery turn 7. And ahead of him, Duran is fending off Ollie O'Donovan, keeping him at bay. They turn through now. There is Duran, O'Donovan tucked up behind him. Where does Double OD make the move? Pat Duran keeps him at bay into turn 1. O'Donovan is sideways, he brakes so late, fighting the car, but he comes out another length further back. He lost time with that late brake and a big slide. There's Higgins, the leader. He comes across the jump. Ollie O'Donovan is working hard, but the championship is ebbing away. Despite the 3 wins that O'Donovan has had at Croft and 2 at Pembrey, it looks like in the final analysis it will not be enough. Durant keeping him at bay. Here's O'Donovan trying to make the move up the inside down to turn 7. There's bodywork flapping as well now as Mark Higgins continues to hold sway up front. He starts the last lap of the race. Julian Godfrey is in second position. Now, to win the championship, Julian Godfrey has got to win the race. He's not going to do so, so Mark Higgins is on target for the title with a lap to go. Dan Rook now has got the impudence to come up to attack the team governor. He's right up behind O'Donovan, whose car is ailing now with a bit of damage at the front. Mark Higgins, though, is down at turn 7 for the last time, and O'Donovan's bonnet flies up, and now he can see nothing. Just to add insult to injury, Ollie O'Donovan can't see where he's going. Now, what do I do, thinks Dan Rook? Do I pass him or leave him for the points? Mark Higgins wins at Silverstone. Mark Higgins wins the British Rally Cross Championship. A brilliant drive all day, a brilliant season for a man new into the discipline this year. Mark Higgins is British Rally Cross champion. He wins the final round here at Silverstone. Let's do the race results. It's Mark Higgins the winner from Julian Godfrey. Pat Duran ahead of Ollie O'Donovan, who stays ahead of Dan Rook. Steve Hill 6th with Mike and Liam Manning 7th and 8th.
A strong day from yourself and the whole Arbotech team, and a dominant drive in the final to wrap up the crown.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really good day, but it was open to anybody. You know, 3 of us could have won it. It was really close. There were so many permutations. To win a championship, I'm over the moon. It's great, and you know, massive thanks to the team, Albotech, the college, obviously Eddie Stobbart for supporting me again. No, it's a good day today.
So to finish on the podium at the final round of the British Championship must be pretty special.
Yeah, it is. Surprised, maybe a bit lucky. I got involved when I shouldn't have got involved, but yeah, which I'm not pleased about. You know, that's racing.
Can we expect to see you do more next year?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I did this to see if I still enjoy it, and I really did. Great atmosphere, guys around me, the team's fantastic. Got a lot of respect for everyone.
At the end of the season, Mark Higgins, the Toyo Tyres MSA British Rally Cross champion. Ollie O'Donovan 2nd and Julian Godfrey in 3rd. At the end of an all-action season, Mark Higgins celebrates the British Rally Cross title. Well done.